Hey everyone, and welcome to Drive Steady. In today's video, I wanted to talk to you guys about the new Heritage package that Ford announced for the GT350 and the GT350R. So a brief history on the Shelby GT350. It all started in 1965 when Carroll Shelby took a regular Mustang GT and took it to his factory and added some racing parts to it and called it the Shelby GT350. From that point on, took that car and was very successful in racing. And it kind of became this hallmark marquee car in the Mustang lineup. It's very popular. I know Jay Leno has one. I think they produced the GT350 in 1965 and 1966. Remember that car because that's what the Heritage Edition is based off of, is that 1965 race car Shelby GT350 Mustang. And one other thing I want you to keep in mind is that 65 model year car was painted in Wimbledon White and it had blue stripes. Got it? All right, so now let's look at the GT350 up until this point. There have been several iterations of the GT350, some of them being production-like, some of them just came from Shelby America, but there really hasn't been something like a production-looking, full R&D invested type of vehicle from Ford until 2015. In 2015, Ford released the GT350 and the GT350R to mark the 50th anniversary of Mustang, and it was an extremely limited run. Very small number of them were Shelby GT350Rs, and then the rest were regular GT350s. Now, the GT350 went into regular production model year 2016, 2017, 18, and then in 2019 it received a refresh. It got new tires, it got a new gurney flap, it got a new interior from the 2018 Mustang, which received a refresh. It was welcomed in that it revised the suspension, it looked a little different because of the wheels, and also the interior upgrades were very welcomed by those waiting for those, specifically people waiting for the Shelby GT350. Fast forward to 2020 now, the GT500 came out and the GT350R received upgrades as a part of the GT500, I guess, parts bin sharing, so to speak. It got the GT500 block, and it also basically got the entire front end suspension of a GT500. All right, so that's the current GT350. So let's talk about the Heritage Edition and what it actually gets you. Number one, it gets you the cool looking Wimbledon White exterior paint. This is the same paint that the 1965 GT350 wore. I think it's actually very cool and strikes a balance between the Oxford White that's currently available in the GT350. And if you guys remember, up until 2017, there was a color called Avalanche Gray, which is a very light gray color. And I think this Wimbledon White strikes a balance between those two colors. Me personally, I have a Avalanche Gray GT350, so I'm very biased towards that color and I really like it. I'm not really a white colored person, and I think this Wimbledon White, it strikes a nice balance and gives you a nice option for those people who weren't able to get an Avalanche Gray colored GT350 back in 2015, 16, and 17. Now you get this Wimbledon White, which is not Avalanche Gray, but it's also not Oxford White. So I think the Wimbledon White looks very cool. The second thing the Heritage package does is it adds blue colored stripes. This is the same color combination as the GT350 back from 65. So you get the Wimbledon White exterior paint, you get the blue stripes, which you cannot get in the regular GT350 or the GT350R. It's only on this Heritage package. And the last two things that you get on the Heritage package, one being the trim or the plaques of the Cobra logos. There is a Cobra logo on the front grille of the GT350s. On the regular GT350, it's a silver color. On the R version, it's a red color. On the Heritage package, it's going to be a blue color, which matches the color of the stripes. And then on the interior, you have a plaque on the passenger side with a serialized chassis number. That is also going to be blue. And then all the way in the rear on your deck lid, you have another Cobra logo. That is also going to be blue. So those three things, the Wimbledon White paint, the blue stripes, and the blue plaque. And the last piece, which I'm kind of unclear about, is I read that it's going to have red stitching. Now, typically the red stitched interiors are reserved for the GT350R. And I'm just curious to know, if you get a regular GT350 with the Heritage package, do you get the red stitching as a part of that? Or does that only apply for the R version like it does on the non-Heritage equipped cars? So that's the Heritage package. It's going to cost $1,965. Another callback to the 1965 Mustang. It's a $1,965 get it $1,965 option. So that's really cool. And to close out the video, I want to talk about three things. The first thing is, I think Ford has an opportunity to raise the horsepower in the GT350. I guess to reintroduce some interest back into the GT350, like a 24 horsepower bump it up to 550, make it a nice even 550, and bump up the torque by 1, so it'll be 430. You'll get a nice 550 and 430 torque. So it's a nice, cool round number. It offers a small refresh, put some interest back into the buyers for the GT350. Now, the second thing is, I don't know why Ford doesn't put the 10-speed automatic from the Mustang GT or the 7-speed double clutch transmission from the GT500 in the GT350. I mean, I understand why you want to keep it a driver's car, and you could argue that the regular GT350 should stay a 6-speed manual because that's more of a driver's car, whatever you want to call it. But the R version is a track version, so it's got carbon fiber wheels, no back seats, carbon fiber wing, revised suspension. So there is an argument as to the R version is the one you want to get the fastest track speed, the best track times, and typically the double clutch transmissions and the automatic transmissions get you better track time. So I'm just curious as to why Ford doesn't do that. I think that's another opportunity. And the last thing I want to close the video out with, and it's more of a wish and a hope, and I hope the GT350 doesn't become some special edition Mustang pony show. Typically, you see manufacturers, specifically, unfortunately, American car manufacturers. Actually, most manufacturers do it as well. BMW does it on the M4. They'll take a model and then they'll stickerize it. They'll put some plaques and some old heritage stuff on it, and they'll market it as a new car, and it's really just the sticker package, the sticker package, so to speak. I don't want the GT350 to turn into that. I hope it doesn't, because it's been such an amazing car. It's one of the better cars Ford builds. It's one of the better driver's cars, widely renowned and widely agreed to by everyone. I just don't want that GT350 specialness or the image of the GT350 to kind of get tarnished amongst some of the previous Mustangs that have come out, where they just badge it up and they change some stickers and they add some plaques and they change the wheels and it becomes something new, or somewhat of a new package that's just stickers. But anyway, those are kind of my thoughts on the Heritage package. Let me know if you're interested in a Heritage package, what you think of it, and what are your thoughts and what are your hopes Ford does with the GT350 in the upcoming model years, because I think the S550 Mustang is still going to be in production for another 2 years, I believe, until 2022. Anyway, thank you for watching. Until next time, drive steady.